Hi, it's another great day in Coto de Caza, Orange County, California. I'm on our golf course here. This is our little putting surface. We got our rock purslanes here. I'm going to give you a quick tour of the plants we have up at our practice area here. This guy, he's a Brazilian Peppertree Schinus terebinthifolia. He comes to us from Brazil, Argentina, and Paraguay. Also called a rose pepper, Christmasberry tree, or a Florida holly. Now he gets his species terebinthifolia because he looks like the Mediterranean tree called a terebinth. He's dioecious, so the male and the female, they're in separate trees. And he gives us little peppercorns, and they're not falling right now because they typically come in like fall and early winter. Wow, this beautiful little succulent here is called a rock Purslane Calandrinia spectabilis. He's a little perennial succulent herb. Comes from Chile. And he starts out with this rosette of fleshy succulent leaves here at the bottom. He's got this stem that comes up here to the purple pretty flowers. Wow. And they'll flower from March through summer. Look at this guy here. Holy smokes. And then they look really just like bare succulents. Super stemmy the rest of the year. And they're real easy to grow. They like full sun, good drainage, and they're super drought tolerant. Look, amazing. That's great. It's a beautiful little clock we have up here at Coto de Caza. I'll show you this tree here and these shrubs. This guy here is called a Natal Plum Carissa macrocarpa. He gets his name macrocarpa. He's got these big, beautiful fruits. Look at that. They're edible. This guy's not ripe yet. I'll find a ripe one. I'll show you. Maybe this guy right here. Pull them off, right? And you eat them. Show a little white stuff. That's actually natural latex. So if you're sensitive, don't eat them. They taste a little bit like cranberry. Now he comes to us from the Natal region of South Africa. He's known as one of the most nutritious fruits in the world. And in Africa they call him a large num-num. And he grows along the dunes and the hillsides. He's super drought tolerant, requires no water or fertilizer. And he gives us these beautiful little white flowers. Look at that. They just smell absolutely incredible. Holy smokes. This tree here is an olive tree, Olea europea. Now, he originally comes from Syria and Turkey almost 20 million years ago. Then the Greeks had cultivated it about the year 500, and it spread out to Europe in the 1600s. This guy's going to flower, and eventually we're going to have little olives on this tree here. So our variety is called an Arbequina olive tree. It comes from Catalonia, Spain. And the olives are edible. You eat them whole, or you press them into olive oil, but they're super bitter. So you gotta brine them in salt first. They like full sun and well-drained soils. Look at beautiful little olive tree here. Wow. Hey, down here, look at this guy. He's called a Bulbine frutescens. Some people just call him a bulbine. Comes from us from South Africa. He grows like in these little dry areas. He's low growing, slender succulent. He's got gray-green leaves. These are turning a little brownish. Sends out a flower stalk right here around March. They bloom through summer. They're super easy to grow. Super common ornamental. And up here, this is our Cape honeysuckle, Tecoma capensis. He gets his name capensis because he comes from this Cape of South Africa. He grows as a vine or a scrambling shrub. He's got these pretty old flowers here. Look like honeysuckles, but they're not true honeysuckles. They're just got this pretty shape for the little local birds called sunbirds. Get their beaks in there. But like a honeysuckle, you can pop off the end here, right? And then suck out the tasty nectar. Wow, that's a Cape honeysuckle. This guy here, he's a Japanese honeysuckle, Lonicera japonica. Now he's a true honeysuckle, comes from Japan, Eastern Asia. He grows as a vine, of course, invasive vine, but our variety here is called a Hall's prolific, and it grows more like a little shrub, but you could pull these off here, right, and you could suck the nectar out of that guy too. It's a little more sweeter than Cape honeysuckle. How about that? Let's continue down here. All this is all Japanese honeysuckle. Look at those guys, beautiful. Wow. So they're starting to bloom. See, they're not as viney and invasive as some places you find. This guy here is a coast live oak tree, Quercus agrifolia. He's native to California from Mendocino down to Baja. You find him throughout our whole canyon golf course. He's an evergreen, gets about 80 feet tall. He lives up to 250, even more, years old. And the acorns from this guy are responsible for sustaining over half of all the animals in our community. He's got no acorns today, but you see these really hard, waxy, little rough leaves here. They're great for reducing evaporation and transpiration. This guy here, it's called a needlegrass. He's probably a Stipa tenacissima. He's a perennial, comes from Portugal, Spain, and North Africa. You use the fibers to make like ropes, baskets, or arts and crafts. These guys are starting to seed, and they kind of flow around. It's real pretty. Needlegrass, and he's pretty tame. They're not too invasive. This guy here is a sycamore tree, of course. Now, we have two types of sycamores in Coto. The ones that are ornamental, so western sycamores, and we have American sycamores, but the ones that are ornamental are the American sycamores, Platanus occidentalis. He's got a lot cleaner shape. And the ones out in the wild, they're the western sycamores, Platanus racemosa. And there's a lot more scraggly and a lot more branchy and out of control. This guy here, well, he's called a Texas Sage Leucophyllum frutescens. He's not a true sage though, from the genus Salvia. There's two varieties here. This one here is, well, I'll show you. This one here is silvery, okay? And this one here is more bland. See that? So we have a silver variety and a more bland variety. Wow. He's also called a barometer bush because he loves to flower after it rains. And you find a lot of these guys at retail centers in the Sonoran Desert, Phoenix, Maricopa, Nevada, and out to Texas. I got a pretty little tree up here I want to show you. This guy here, Leptospermum scoparium. It's a type of myrtle. It's called a tea tree. He comes from Australia and New Zealand. And there are lots of varieties. It's the same tree here, Leptospermum. Wow. This guy here is called a apple blossom. He's got these pretty little pink, whitish flowers. Yeah, little apple blossom. That's what they call them. This guy here is either a red Damask or red Ensign. Same little flowers here, just different color, different variety. And it's got this real tough hardwood at the base. You got dense branching all throughout. You got tiny little leaves right here. These pretty little flowers. Wow, how about that? So we continue down a little path here. Out here's our driving range. Golf course is closed today because it's Monday. Okay, this guy back here I want to show you. Behind our Texas sage. I'm going to get back there for you. Here we go. Wow, look at that. This guy is called yellow sweet clover. Melilotus officinalis. He's a Fabaceae or legume family plant. He comes from Eurasia. He's introduced to America, Africa, and Australia as a forage crop for cattle and livestock. And you find him in open prairies, grasslands, disturbed areas. And he grows up here like a weed. This is an annual or biennial plant. Gets about 6 feet high. He's got a bit of a sweet odor, and he flowers in spring and summer. He's got little pea pod-like legumes with a little seed inside. Oh, look at that. All behind our Texas sage here. Anyway, I'm going to show you the rest of this little practice area we have. See if we've got some more plants here. This guy here is our Pampas Grass Cortaderia celluana. He's native to Argentina, introduced to California around 1960 or 1970 as an ornamental, but he's super invasive. He's a tall, blooming, grassy shrub. He gets his genus Cortaderia, comes from the Spanish word cortadera, which means cutter, and his leaf blades here are super sharp. Wow, and they're gonna cut your pants or cut your skin. And he's known for these blooms up here, or plumes of seeds. You could cut these off and make all sorts of decorations and arts and craft projects with that guy. See how this guy here is so silver here. This guy here is more dolish, right, over a Texas sage. That's pretty cool. Having different varieties. All this here is a Japanese honeysuckle. So he's growing a little wild here, more viney, so I gotta tame him down a little bit. Another American sycamore. Here's another one of our tea trees. Right here, Leptospermum, scoparium. Right, pretty little red flowers. We've got one more up here. Right, this is our apple blossom, Leptospermum. He looks really good. Now these guys get like 16 feet tall, you believe it or not. And our final tree here, this one here, Peruvian Peppertree Schinus Moye. See, he comes from Peru in the Andes. And the species Moye is an old Quechua word for tree. And like all these guys, he's dioecious. So the males and the females are in different trees. And the peppers, or the pepper fruits you get from this, are edible. And you substitute them for your real pepper you buy from the store. He's super common ornamental in California. In fact, he's also known as a California pepper tree. How about that? Now along our golf course here, this is all Cape honeysuckle and sycamores and a couple oaks all the way up through our practice range. There you go. Anyway, thought I'd share that with you today. It's such a nice morning out in Coto de Caza. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Bye.